Welcome to AAPC Social Hour for July 26th, 2023. I am Alex McKinley from the National Office. We are just kicking off right now. And today we have our friends from the AAPCCA Board of Directors. Hey, guys.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
And we're kind of just rolling into this right now. We have a few people trickling in to see what's happening on this week's social hour. We hope everybody's doing well. Let us know where you're at if you're watching, all 9 of you, and growing. But we're working on the backside of summer, you guys, and it is scorching hot here in the suburbs of Salt Lake. How about for you guys?
Not here in New York.
No, is it pretty
Rainy.
cool out there?
Yeah,
Raining?
Rainy. A lot of thunderstorms our way. So
I could use some rain right now. Nicole, how about you? Where are you at?
Southern Indiana, and we're under a heat advisory. It's 110. That's what it feels like. It's not even 110. Like in Texas, it's like 110. Here, it just feels like 110. It's terrible.
Yep.
Mhm.
Yep. Just constantly hot. Rhonda, how about you yourself?
So I'm in the Mississippi, Memphis, Tennessee area, and it's actually been really, really hot, but the last couple of days we got lucky and we were like in the 80s, but they said this going forward, we're gonna be like 107, 110 heat index in the afternoon. So it gave us a break for a minute, but it's coming back.
You know, it's funny how that works, because I know when we're in Utah coming out of our winters, when we jump from 20s or 30s into the 50s, 60s, it's like shorts and t-shirts weather. But you know, and then you go from 100 down to 80, and it's like, oh, it is cool.
Very true.
Kathy, how about yourself?
I'm in Western New York, so I'm on the other side of the state from Dara, and we're pretty average, 80s, which is kind of warm for us, but it hasn't been too terrible. But I am glad that we got air conditioning this year, so I'm all set.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we have some of our amazing friends joining us. Tiana Barr from Atlanta, Dee Moody from Manville, Texas, Melinda Hayakawa from Seattle, Washington. I wonder what it's like out there, because I know they tend to be known for getting a lot of rain. Has it been rainy up there? Melinda, how are things up there? Sue Morgan from Cincinnati, Julie Heichel from California. Thanks so much for being with us. Brenda, how about yourself? How's the weather out there?
Well, today it's 86 with low humidity, but this is the calm before the storm.
Is it?
I mean,
You're gonna get whacked?
yes, this weekend. Coincidentally, I'll be in South Carolina where it's hotter this weekend. So either way I go this weekend, it's going to be hot.
Brenda, your home is in Atlanta, is that right?
No, I live in Maryland. Mhm.
Darn it. Okay.
Mhm.
So we'll talk more about this, but obviously we'll be in your neck of the woods for
Yes.
our HealthCon regional in DC, not this week, but the next week. Well, right.
Yes.
So not
Mhm.
kicking off, not this Sunday, but the next Sunday. Now, will you be staying at the Gaylord Hotel with us, or are you close enough?
I will be. I live on the Eastern Shore of Maryland, so I'm still about an hour and a half from DC, the DC
Okay.
metropolitan area. So I'll be driving in.
All
Not
right.
far at all.
Now, Brenda, this is on a personal note. After our DC trip, mid-September, I'll be spending a few days in Cambridge. Is that close to you?
Oh my goodness. Cambridge is like tops 20 minutes from me.
Okay. Are you further east or west from Cambridge?
I'm east.
East.
Mhm.
Okay. All right. Well, let's talk later. Maybe we can get together for lunch.
Okay. Sounds like a plan.
Yes. All right. Susan,
Yes.
Have we hit you? Like what's up with the weather out in your area?
Today isn't too bad. It's been hot recently. I believe tonight we're supposed to have some severe storms going through. I am in the Toledo, Ohio area, right at the Ohio-Michigan border. And the last I saw, we had some severe weather alerts for later this evening. So we'll see.
Okay. So severe weather, thunderstorms and
Yeah,
such? Okay.
isolated risk of tornado, which we had a tornado in my neighborhood on June 15th. So I really don't need another one.
Now, are most homes in your area, are they outfitted with a tornado bunker kind of thing?
It's pretty typical to have basements around here, yes.
Okay. All right.
We do not have one because we're on the river and the ground is too rocky and there would be risk of flooding, but it's okay because we had no warning when we had the tornado anyway. So even if we had a basement, we wouldn't have been down in it.
Okay. Well, Myra Simmons is watching. She's from the DC area. Myra, give us your tips on how to dress for the weather out there. Are we going to be burning up? I mean, I guess that's pretty close to Brenda. Brenda, it's hot out there already.
It is hot.
So,
And I'm not sure
okay.
all of what next week will be like, but we'll be indoors
Yeah. Yep.
unless we
All right.
sightsee.
Well, I think someone who probably has some great weather right now is Darlene Merriman from Alaska.
Oh,
Yeah. Yes. So, Darlene, let us know what it's like there. Maybe we can move regionals over there and we can
Okay.
go fishing and hiking and just cool off.
Mhm.
Myra Simmons in DC says, yes, very hot. So, all right. Well, yeah, we've talked about this. Our regional is coming up in DC and we're excited for that. Myra, will you be joining us there for that? We hope to see you there. Oh, Darlene in
Yes.
Alaska says 66 degrees.
Mm.
Oh,
Amazing. I'm jealous.
Good.
Not me,
Not me.
No. What's it? Denise, would you prefer hot versus
Yes.
that cool? Okay.
Yes, hot.
All right. Where are you at, Denise? Remind me. You're in the
Michigan.
Midwest, Michigan. That's right.
Yep.
Is like every place else, it seems pretty hot?
About 90. To me, it's not hot, but it's about 90. And we're going to get storms today. So
You sound like an excellent candidate for a move to Arizona.
well, I'm looking to move to Texas eventually. So
Oh, all right. There you go.
Denise,
All right.
how crazy is that?
well, my husband was stationed there for 3 years and we love the area. So and I love the heat. Makes sense.
Yep. Awesome. All right. Well, guys, we're so grateful to have you guys here again. If you're just joining us, we have our several members of our AAPCCA Board of Directors with us. If you're not familiar with the AAPCCA, they are our organization over our local chapters. Brenda, why don't you may be best to explain that. Tell us a little bit about the AAPCCA.
well, we are kind of the go-between between local chapters and the AAPC. And we are here for our local chapter officers to help them strive and to help them succeed. And we have a group of lovely ladies that encompass the regions, 8 regions. And each region has 2 BOD reps. And you can go to your BOD reps or any one of us if officers have questions, because we are always here for you all.
Brenda, what I usually do to find the webpage with the AAPCCA information is I just Google or search on the AAPC website, AAPC BOD or Board of Directors, and then that usually gets me to where I need to be to find you guys.
Yes. And
And
you'll see us all listed.
Is there contact information for each of you on there as well? Like
It is.
email?
It is. If you're in the local chapter area, your local chapter area under directory, you will see the BOD representatives for your region with their email addresses to contact them.
Awesome. And I recommend to everybody watching, I mean, this these broadcasts, a big chunk of it is about networking and getting to know each other. So if you have the chance, just hop over into LinkedIn and connect with these representatives, and I'm sure they would love to connect with you, and you can
Absolutely.
pick their brain. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right. Well, we've done this for other social hours recently. We've talked about our 35th anniversary, and we're excited about that. I can't believe what a journey it's been. But we thought it'd be fun, just as we've done in past recent episodes, to talk about your guys' journey and or first connections with AAPC. And if you're watching, feel free to drop in the comments what your first interaction with AAPC was. So I'm going to start with Dara. Dara, what was that first interaction with AAPC? Now, was it, and I'm asking you to be, everybody be brief, but on the other side, I think it'd be interesting to hear, were you a student and then you bumped into us, or were you already working in the field? Just give us a little brief about that, Dara.
So I started off working for an insurance company, and there was an opportunity for certain coders to be certified. So I was selected to be certified, and it was like a 10-week course, which I thought was like, how am I going to get certified in medical coding in 10 weeks? But went through it, so happy for it. And that's how my first introduction of AAPC went. So once that happened, I joined the local chapter. That was probably, they met once a month, and it was like 15 minutes from my job. And literally by the year after I got certified, I was a local chapter officer. Did that for 4 years. And then now I'm on my second year as a BOD rep. So I would say my introduction to AAPC was amazing.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. Nicole, how about yourself?
Well, to date myself a little bit, haven't been around as long as AAPC with AAPC, but I have been a while. So I was working in an office. My supervisor was had just gotten certified, started a local chapter, and obviously needed more people. So she started getting the employees who were coding, and mostly all the ones that were coding, having them take the exam for their jobs. And then she basically volunteered us all to be officers so that we could get our local chapter going. And that was 21 years ago. So.
Wow. Can you, Nicole, is there anything that strikes you as one of the biggest changes to the organizations, or maybe a milestone that you remember?
Oh gosh, there's so
I'm putting you
many
on the spot.
things. There's so many things, just because of the electronic era that we are in now. I remember faxing in local chapter CEU request.
Yeah.
Fax machine. 'Cause we didn't have
Yes.
email or anything like that. So we had to fax them and wait for them to get sent back. And everything else, it took 6 weeks to get your test results back in the mail. Because it wasn't automatic. So you had to wait 6 weeks to know if you passed your exam. It was a long 6 weeks.
You see those comments in the group sometimes where people are like, oh, I can't wait 7 to 10 days. And then someone like Nicole will hop in and say, well, when I was an examinee, it was like, yeah, it was 6 weeks through snow.
Yes. Yes.
Uphill both ways.
That's right. That's right. Before I go on to anybody else, I want to let our viewers know that after we talk about our experiences with AAPC, we're going to talk about exams and like exam tips and career tips, things like that. So if you are a current student and looking for maybe some study tips even, or recently certified and want to talk about finding that first job, this is the broadcast for you. So stay with us. Susan, what was your first interaction with AAPC?
Well, I had worked in healthcare for quite some time. Don't want to date myself, but I started working in healthcare before the HIPAA law was implemented. So it's been a minute. But I joined AAPC in 2018. I was working for a consulting company, and they wanted some of the consultants to get certified because they wanted to expand in offer suggestions or advice on coding and billing reviews. So I volunteered to be one of those people, and I took the CPC course, passed my exam, and realized I really liked coding. So I gradually transitioned into that. Within a year after being certified, I ran for my first office in my local chapter and just kind of jumped in and have been involved in some way ever since.
Awesome. Awesome. And is this your first year on the BOD?
Yes, this is my first year. So
Okay.
I'm looking forward to serving all 3 years.
All right. Awesome. All right, Kathy, how about yourself?
I went to a community college as a result of being laid off from a job, and I had worked in healthcare, so I could have went either way. I decided to go with AAPC versus the inpatient coding route through AHIMA, so I chose AAPC, and 7 certifications later,
Right.
I'm still here. I went to my first conference. 2024 will be my 10th year attending conferences. And that probably stuck out to me the most. My first conference, I was sold. I'm like, I will never miss a conference, ever.
That's so awesome. I love it. Now, Kathy, prior to your layoff, you said you were working in healthcare and then was laid off. Were you familiar with coding? Were you familiar with AAPC?
Actually, I was familiar with coding. I worked for the genetics department at our children's hospital, and I was E&M coding before I even knew what that was. And I could flip through the diagnosis book like no tomorrow, because in genetics, everything is signs and symptoms. So you were in that book constantly. So I was coding before I knew it was such a thing.
Okay. There's a few comments specific to Kathy. Katie says, love Queen Cat.
Oh, that's my vice president.
Oh, okay. All right. Hey, Katie. Thanks for being with us today. And then let's see. Oh, Robin Alvarado says, who's addicted, Kathy, to certifications? So that's you.
Yeah.
What was your most recent certification, Kathy?
CDEO.
Okay.
I
What was your
just did that one, I believe, 2 months ago.
what was your most difficult?
That's a hard one. I would say probably the compliance.
So how many certifications do you have?
7.
Okay, and last question for you. I promise. But one common topic that comes up in the group, in the AAPC Facebook group, is how do I get my CEUs? And you have to have a system. I'm sure you put a lot of thought into this. Tell us real quick, if you could, just how you earn your CEUs.
I love learning, so I'm always out there attending any webinar. There's so many free ones out there, with not only with AAPC, but different organizations. And when you're a chapter officer, it's easier to meet those CEU requirements because you have to attend all your chapter meetings.
Okay, there you go. That's a little tip right there.
Nice little plug, Kathy. Nice little.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I love it. Rhonda, how about yourself?
Well, I started, it's really funny. I started by accident in doing medical billing for a pathology lab because someone at a job I had had before when I was in retail just thought about I would be a good fit after I had finished college. I was in college at the time. And so my manager there took me under her wing, and I got introduced to all of the stuff on the revenue side, but I had never heard of coding at all, had never heard of AAPC. It wasn't till years later, when I moved to this area close to Memphis, Tennessee, I decided to take a coding program and met my instructor, we just bonded really well and prepared me for the CPC. That was the first exam I ever took, and that was in 2007. And it went from there. It's like, doors open for me going after that, because of the experience I already had, and then adding the CPC to it. Also, my first conference with AAPC was in 2008. An employer I was working for decided to send all of us, and that was my first time, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it also gave me an opportunity to want to get involved with my local chapter at the time. And when I got involved in my local chapter, I served on that chapter as member development officer. And it made me have a great contact with different members in and out, till I wanted to later form my own chapter in the area that I was living in. And so that became available in 2017. So it's just been a great journey, adding coding to the billing experience that I already had over the years. I wouldn't take it back for nothing.
So Rhonda, were you familiar with APC as you were a biller?
As a biller, I was not. It was not until I actually got introduced to some other coworkers I was working around, and they were like, "Have you ever heard of, AAPC and getting certified?" And I was like, "No." And I took it upon myself to invest in myself. My job at the time didn't pay for it. I invested in myself to go to get the code, go through I think it was a 14-week program at the time. And when I say that instructor prepared us, she prepared us that I passed it on the first go. And it just made me excited from there to just be so connected to a community of other professionals that know what you're going through and know the all of the ups and downs of coding, all of the connections that you make being a part of AAPC. So that what made me stronger in it. And of course, want to serve on the board became something that I wanted to strive for as well.
I'm curious, Rhonda, I know we try to be that community and support for billers. Obviously, our membership are primarily coders, or at least started out as coders. Do billers have, at least when you were billing, was there a community like this in the biller world?
Not as strong as the coding side. As billers, we would just, we find out information as we go, because we know with insurance, there's always changes every day. But, also there's also coding changes. But I felt the stronger community with me was when I definitely got in coding, but I still keep the community of billing as also, because to me, all of it works together. It works together, because you're all trying to solve, you're trying to do right with everything that you get in for the physician or for the hospital that you work for. So those departments to me work together. It's like a domino effect. When one falls, then it causes the other to fall. So that it's really, to me, I believe with AAPC offering the CPB later on, that was really good, because it gets billers involved to even be interested in wanting to know the coding side.
Do you have the CPB?
I do not, but I'm planning to take it in September.
I hear that that's a tough one.
Yes, I've been hearing from people too.
Okay.
I just took that one. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Okay. What tips do you have for Rhonda, Brenda?
Oh, study those regulations, know those insurances, know that CMS 1500 form. Those are just off the top of my head tips.
Yeah. And if you're watching, if you are a certified professional biller at the CPB, if you hold that credential, share a tip or two with Rhonda. Okay, let's help her successfully pass this thing. I hope you don't mind, Rhonda.
Thank you.
All right. Denise, what was your first interaction with AAPC? When was the first time you heard AAPC or maybe saw that logo?
I think it was about 2007 when my boss at the time was forced to get certified as a consultant. And then one of my coworkers did it, as she was forced to do it. I took it upon myself and said, no, I want to do it. So I jumped in and took a self-study course, did it all on my own, was able to take the test in 2008, passed the first time through, and haven't stopped getting certification since.
Right.
So it sounds like you were already working in healthcare on
I
some
was
level.
as a biller.
Oh, okay. All right. And how many credentials do you now hold?
I hold 9, hopefully 10
Oh.
by the end of the year.
Oh my goodness, you guys. Kathy, Denise, that's a lot.
I love learning just like Kathy. I
Yeah.
mean, knowledge is power to me. You can
Yeah.
never have enough.
And we talk about this often, is that coders and those in this industry, whether you are certified or seeking additional certifications or not, you're constantly learning. You have to do that to keep your thumb on what's happening in the industry. Denise, what was the most difficult so far for you?
The CIC.
The CIC. What made that more challenging than others?
It made it more challenging because I don't currently work in the inpatient industry. So I didn't have a lot of experience, and it's a totally different code set. So it was interesting, very interesting, and I wouldn't change it for the world, but it's always a backup plan in case I want to work at the hospital someday.
Does having that certification help you now? Like, do you ever come across things in your work these days where you're like, oh, I connect with that from my CIC training?
Yep.
Okay. And finally, this, as I did with Kathy, what is your strategy for earning CEUs for all of these certifications?
Well, I attend anything and everything that I can as far as webinars, meetings, going to conferences whenever I can, and just, staying up on education.
Right.
I never have a problem getting CEUs.
Right.
This is my observation. Those who struggle, that when we were in the group, the Facebook group, and we see people struggling with CEUs, I feel like it tends to be they're at the 11th hour. And they've put it off till that last moment, and there's frustration and stress trying to find free ones. But I don't know. Do you go attend conferences, Denise and Kathy? Do you guys spend much money other than the conferences on CEUs? Do you get many for free?
Absolutely.
Being an officer, we get a lot for free because we're attending our chapter meetings and we're planning those. And then we also have the chapter officer news where we can get CEUs that way as well. We have the magazines, you can get CEUs there. AAPC gives you free webinars. So there's lots of different avenues to get them.
Just don't let it
Not at the last
fall to
minute.
the wayside. Yes, that's I think that's the key right there.
And
Okay,
I wanna
Brenda.
Alex,
Go
I
ahead.
want to
Yeah.
just as Kathy brought into the attention of local chapters, you also have an opportunity to apply for the board of directors, where you have much opportunity to get CEUs because you're helping. For some reasons, you have 7 states that you're helping. So that's 7 states of chapter meetings that you can attend. So for those who do wait to the last minute versus the people that like to plan it out, always want to keep in mind that you don't want to wait till the last minute because chapter meetings are not always planned. They can also cancel last minute. So you don't want to be in that, situation of like, oh my God, now I have to pay for this amount of CEUs when you had 2 years of opportunity networking and connecting with different people to get the CEUs with different type of subjects that are available throughout the country. So keep that in mind as well.
I love it. And there's another Chandra Stevenson. I think you guys probably know her. Yeah. She has many credentials after her name as well. And I spoke with her about it once, and she, if I recall right, she hits it right when the new CEU cycle starts, and she gets it done within like the first 3 months or so.
Right.
Just knock it out.
That's a great plan.
Yes. All right. Last but certainly not least, Brenda, tell me about your first interaction with AAPC.
My very first interaction with AAPC was at the Atlanta, Georgia conference in 2004. And at that time, I was not certified. My supervisor, who was at the time, brought me on because I was studying to get certified. And she thought that that would be a phenomenal idea to bring me to conference. And boy, was it. And just like Kathy, I think, I've missed maybe since 2004, I've probably missed only about 2 conferences just to be in the area, the networking, the learning with like-minded individuals that do what you do, and then their enthusiasm. Went back home, studied, self-studied like Denise did, passed on the first go. We didn't have a chapter in my area, so myself and 2 other ladies founded our chapter. And again, I haven't stopped learning. 10 certifications later, and here we are.
Wow. Wow. Now, it sounds like you were working in the industry yourself, just like Denise, before attending that conference.
Yes, my journey for healthcare actually started on the health insurance side, where I was a claims adjudicator.
Wow. And so was that job where you were when the supervisor asked you to attend HealthCon?
No, I actually moved from the area I was in doing claims adjudication. And when I moved here, I got a job working in an office. So now I'm on the other end. Now I'm actually coding and filling out the HCFA forms, when previously I was paying those claims or denying them. Not on purpose, though. Not on purpose.
And when you're working, as you're working in that office, Brenda, do you recall when your supervisor said, "Are you familiar with AAPC?" or "There's this conference by this organization called AAPC"? Do you remember that moment?
Yes, I do remember that moment. She had went the year previously, gotten certified, and the office did want another certified coder. And so I was a lead under her. And so they came to me and asked me, would I want to go? And I'm like, yes, absolutely. Because even when she went and came back and brought the information about conference, even just listening to her, it was infectious. And if you didn't know about it, you wanted to know about it.
Yeah, awesome. Everybody's entry point into this community is different. And I think that is similar to finding your first job. I feel like we hope that after certification, there's this cookie cutter way to find that first job. But some of you worked in insurance or different aspects, but kind of around the coding world, and that kind of led that way for you. And I know many members that I speak with, they come from such drastically different backgrounds. And I've talked about Matty Oaks Daughtry a lot, and he's the Broadway dancer. And then there's someone, Abby, who worked as a catering manager for Famous Dave's Barbecue. I mean, it's all different ways that we all come into this world. I'd like to shift gears now into that a little bit about finding that first job, because that's something we see, that a question that comes up so much in the Facebook group. How do I find that first job? And if you're watching and this includes you're asking yourself that question, I would check out the AAPC interviews on our YouTube channel. There's also a channel called Starting Points where we just have a few of those up now, but just whatever member interviews you see on AAPC's YouTube channel would be a great resource. Now I'm going to turn over to our panel here and ask, you guys see these questions too, and I'm sure you get asked directly from people. How do I get that first job? Brenda, what tips would you give to someone searching for that first job?
Well, I get this question a lot, especially with my students. And my answer is just keep applying. Every one, I always say, every job, I don't know if it's a template, but they say they want experience. But if they see that you are being persistent, you are going through the classes, you have continuing education units, something may trigger that hiring manager to hire you. And I also say, don't limit yourself to look for just coding jobs. Look for that billing job, look for maybe collections, get your foot in the door, show them what you can do. Most jobs, they do hire from within first. And so those would be my tips.
You know, setting yourself apart, Brenda. I interviewed a woman named Megan Chavis, and she has her CPC and CDEO.
Mhm.
She came from, I think it was a factory type of background, or it was definitely more blue collar work that she's doing. She was looking to find a career to help support her and her son better. But she said before she went into her first interview, she created a little PowerPoint, this like an image, just showing her work history. And even though none of it
That's
applied
good.
to healthcare, it gave them a visual of
Mhm.
where she's been, and it showed that she could put something together that's nice and clean and professional, and set herself apart from the rest of the applicants.
Right.
Yeah.
So it
Kathy-
showed
oh, go ahead.
it showed what she can do, but it also showed her progression from where she was and what she wanted to do now.
Yeah.
And so get
Yeah.
that definitely, that's a great idea. Get that portfolio together or that PowerPoint.
I love that.
Mhm.
Kathy, how about you? If you get asked this question, or when you see these questions pop up, what advice do you give to those aspiring coders?
Just really your local chapter is a great resource. Be involved. Network.
Mhm.
That helps tremendously. I was already in the industry, but my involvement with my local chapter led to my current job. So, and there's a lot of places out there that will hire newer coders. I know for myself, I prefer it because then I can train them. They don't have any developed bad habits.
Mhm.
It's, so look for opportunities like that. But as Brenda said, too,
Right.
think outside the box and just anything in healthcare to kind of get your foot in the door.
Mhm. Excellent
it.
point, Kathy. I always like to say hiring someone they don't have bad, not that we have bad habits.
Right.
Right. Not that we have bad habits.
No, we have none.
But you can bring somebody in and bring them under your wing. I think Rhonda said someone brought her in under her wing.
And it's easier to train them the way your organization does things when
Right.
they have no other background, no other point of reference.
Kathy, you spoke about networking and the importance of that. I'm sure that'll be a common theme throughout this, but I have spoken with several people who found their first job from networking in the AAPC Facebook group.
Yes.
And that leads me to think, well, what would someone need to see from me to have trust in me to hire me from this digital virtual community, right? Because that's a leap of faith. And I think about the reputation that you have in the group, how you represent yourself in the group. Kathy, do you have any thoughts about that?
I think just always make sure that what you put out there is professional. Spell check, make sure your grammar is correct. Try not to use slang. Try to always be positive. We see a lot of negative posts out there and complaints. Don't be a complainer, be somebody who shows initiative and willingness to find solutions.
Right. Absolutely.
That's
And I'm going
great.
to add to that, Kathy, watch your email addresses too. Yeah.
Yes.
Have a professional email address.
Yes.
Like Rodeo Queen, 1975. Won't do it.
I might go,
Yeah.
Rhonda, what advice do you have?
They've mentioned a lot of them that are really good. And and just like when Brenda said, you know, I had someone to take me under the wing. When you show yourself in a professional way, no matter what particular job you have that may not even have anything to do with billing and coding. I was approached because they looked at me as always being professional. I looked professional. And like Kathy said, making sure you spell check things on your resume, make sure you know, you got all your I's dotted and your T's crossed. As far as when you're looking for that job, know what that job entails, but also be willing to start at the bottom. You know, if there is a position open as a receptionist, take that receptionist job, be the best receptionist there is, and start to learn different things in the office of how things flow. And then it would in turn open up doors for you to maybe be able to slide into that slot of someone that's out billing and then learn the coding part of it. So I always say you start at the bottom, but it always gets you very, very great results if you just stick to what you're doing in that area.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that, Rhonda. Now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. But first, for Denise, Susan, Nicole, and Dara, raise your hand if you have reviewed resumes for a potential hire. Yeah. Okay. All right. Perfect. Okay. So, Dara, I'm going to start with you. What do you look for when you see a resume, and have you hired for an entry-level position? And someone coming from who doesn't have a healthcare background, what would you look for when looking at their resume?
Well, I personally haven't hired anybody in, but I have assisted people who have gotten hired off of review of their resume. Especially what people don't realize too is that you want your resume to reflect the position that you're applying for. Sometimes some people have a resume and they just use that same resume for every single position. You want to look at your resume and be like, okay, this person really wanted this position that they're applying for. So I always recommend people to have different types of resumes available when you're, you know, looking for a job. Just as much as these lovely ladies stated, you know, networking is huge. And also putting that effort to be like, you're not always going to get paid for an opportunity, but that opportunity may lead you to a great paying position. So be open-minded with having the opportunity to network and connect with people that, you know, you may be volunteering, just like as a local chapter office, you're volunteering, but you do get perks, you know, so being optimistic and being positive about everything that you do, as much as being, you know, professional and everything as well. You're connecting with people, you know, the way that you present yourself. And like Kathy said, you know, communication styles are very much important. Sometimes you network with people and you're in, let's say, going out to eat. The way you act when you're out to eat could reflect your next position. So I just always really look at the person themselves and make sure their resume reflects themselves, because you don't want to have a resume that's like, this doesn't really match who I'm interviewing. So
yes, I love that. No, that's great thoughts. I love it. Susan, how about yourself? And in fact, let me ask you this. Have you, or how can a resume stick out? Because like literally in the fact that every resume, I guess they're digital and they are just white pieces of paper, like computer screen kind of thing. I've heard people say, well, put it on a flashy, you know, bright sheet of paper, things like that. Like, how can someone be seen through the pile of resumes?
I think that, you know, your resume is a personal marketing document for you. You are selling the picture of your background and your experience. So whether you've worked in healthcare or not, if you can take every experience you've had and translate those skills into coding, I mean, maybe on a flashy document, so many applications are online that I'm not really sure that that would show up well. I think that, a clean and crisp document that's easy to read when it's uploaded online, or that's machine readable if it's filling it into those forms where, we have to type everything on our resume and then attach a copy of our resume. Make it easier on yourself to upload and apply for those. But I think it's really the content. Let your personality shine through. To the extent that you can. If you can take whether you've worked in a factory or in catering, if you take those transferable skills that you can sell yourself for a coding position or a position in healthcare in general, maybe you have good customer service, you have good communication. Any of those things can be linked and projected towards your future career as a coder.
Yeah.
Wonderful. I love
I think lady said, be a bad advocate for yourself. So that coincides with what you're saying, Susan. Advocate for yourself. Be professional and have professional behavior.
Yes, yes, yes. Denise, any thoughts on your end?
Make sure it's formatted properly and that, like Susan said, when it's uploaded, that it looks professional. Because so many times you see where that information is all jagged all across the screen and it's not lined up. And so you didn't really take the time to double check your upload to make sure it looks appropriate. Because you want it to reflect professionalism. You want it to reflect current information. So if your phone number changed, you want to make sure you change and update it on there, because otherwise we can't contact you. Professional email addresses, like everyone has said, and just always promote yourself. You want that job. Why should I hire you? You got to give me that information as to what makes you the best candidate for me. How am I going to work with you, and what am I going to be able to teach you and mentor you to get you to the next level where you could, start out as a receptionist. Let's say you have great customer service skills. That's a receptionist. You start there, but as you're doing that and you have extra time, learn other tasks to go, oh, hey, can I help you with that? Can I learn this? That initiative right there sets you apart.
Yeah.
Yes. Gabriella says save your resume in a PDF format. So that's going to keep everything in that format that you wish.
Definitely. And I'm going to also add to that, because I've also heard it's best to, as if you're uploading and they have the option for you to copy and paste it, to kind of do both, because even when you upload it, the formatting can get lost in transmission. And so to copy and paste it as well. Nothing wrong with them having it twice.
Yep, that's right. Love it. Nicole, have you interviewed new coders?
I have a few, yes.
What would you look for when interviewing someone who does not have healthcare or coding experience? What would you look for when interviewing them?
Oh, usually just the enthusiasm to learn, because that's what they're going to do. They're going to spend forever learning. So they have to be eager to learn more things, and not just the coding piece of that. Sometimes it's software, being able, you may not know how to do it today, but in 6 months, you may be an expert at it. So, being willing to learn those things and enthusiastic about it, not afraid not afraid of change at all, because everything changes constantly. So you can't be afraid of change.
Yes. And I love that. And, just rehearse, you don't want to come off robotic when you go in for an interview, whether it's virtual or in person. But I think there is a lot about to say about preparation and looking up those common interview questions that you might get. And then think to yourself, what do I want to know about the organization how will they help me get the skills I need to have a long career in healthcare. I think those things would be very helpful.
Research the organization as well.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Go in
Right.
knowing something about the organization.
All right.
And remember it, the interview is two ways. They're interviewing you and you are interviewing them as well.
Correct.
Yes. Now,
And if
how
it's
about,
oops, sorry.
ahead.
If it's a phone interview, let us hear your smile in your voice. We got to be able
Yes.
to hear that.
Mhm.
I love it. Have you guys worked with recruiters, and what, I mean, I know they create a path for many coders to get a first job or a job, a new position and such, but just all of this I'm sure applies on some level, but are there any other tips that we could give that reflect the path of someone going through a recruiter?
Mhm.
Any thoughts on that? How about this? Have any of you worked with recruiters? No?
I
Yeah.
have not. Mhm.
No? Susan, tell me about that experience.
Well, I've done some positions through recruiters. Before I got into oncology, I worked in risk adjustment, and a lot of that is based on,
Mhm.
Recruiters placing into positions for many of the different companies. So I think that, um, respect to the recruiter's time, respond promptly to what they have, because quite often they're looking to fill, maybe 50 jobs and they have 300 people applying. So if you wait 3 days to respond back, they might have already filled the 50, and it's not a reflection on your ability, but they're just going to take the first 50 qualified candidates that they can get. So make sure that you're in that early group of candidates. And also, I know that it's hard. Sometimes I see people in the social media groups being frustrated if they don't hear back from recruiters promptly. And sometimes, they may not have information to communicate because they're passing along resumes to the company that they're placing people with, and they need to hear responses from them before they can get back. They're really acting as a go-between. So I think that's important to remember if you're not hearing back, because I do see that commonly discussed. But also being on LinkedIn is a great way to connect with recruiters. Have a good, fully fleshed out profile of all of your relevant skills, include keywords so that those recruiters are searching for people with keywords. Turn on the open to work switch on your LinkedIn profile so that you are searchable by recruiters, and really watch for those posts. There are a lot of groups that you can join. If you're paying attention, you'll get to see some of the names in the industry. And, maybe if you're not right for one of the opportunities that they have, that doesn't mean you won't be right for a future opportunity. So really keep that connection going with them. Don't burn a bridge if you're frustrated because you didn't get one position, because they might have a position for you in another month.
Exactly.
I love that. That's a different perspective there, and it's good to be persistent, but with recruiters in this situation, you might need to express a little more patience as well.
Alex, I just want to add, my first coding job was with a risk adjustment company, and it was working remotely. And you have several risk adjustment companies, which now, later on the certification came for, but back then at that time, they didn't have certifications for the risk adjustment. And I would just say to those that are out there that are looking, there are a lot of risk adjustment opportunities that come through recruiters, and they're willing to hire people that are just apprentices who have just gotten their certification but have no experience in coding at all. So that would be an area that is really good to work with recruiters on.
Right. Thank you. Thanks, Rhonda. Lori Jaramillo in the comments says she refers students to CSI, to a friend she has there. And she says as they hire because they hire new coders, but the process can take time. So if you're looking at that, just be patient.
Just be patient.
Is persistently patient a thing? Okay.
Mm.
I don't know, but yeah, yeah, just I love the LinkedIn comments. Just that make sure you have a professional photo as your profile picture. Have a nice, well-written summary about your experience and your aspirations. And I know there are services, there are those who help people with resumes and things. I think someone like that may be able to help you to sharpen up your LinkedIn account if you don't have one, or would like another set of eyes on them, or ask friends. In fact, I bet you if you put a link to your LinkedIn account in the AAPC Facebook group and said, can you guys take a look at this and offer me some feedback, I bet you'd get a lot of great tips. So,
Yeah.
And probably a
right.
few new connections too.
Yeah.
Right.
That's right. That's right. I feel like that is such a huge thing. And, Susan, I'm glad you brought that back up. But just that the importance of networking. Kathy spoke to this as well, just, local chapter meetings in the virtual world, APC's link or Facebook groups and other communities. But if you can get a chance to get to an APC conference, it is, I mean,
Absolutely.
on a personal level, it is so much fun to be with you guys for a few days. But the connections made if you put yourself out there, because you could attend conference and just be a wallflower and never talk to anybody. But if you go out of your way and just sit yourself at a new table every lunch or event, you're going to meet some great people, and it could lead to a new career path for you.
Absolutely.
Or even
Brenda,
in the lobby, checking in at your hotel, you can meet
Yes.
somebody.
yes,
Mhm.
absolutely, absolutely. And with that, Brenda, let's talk about conferences and networking. What do you have any thoughts or advice for those attending conference? Maybe someone's attending the an APC conference for the first time in the next few weeks at our DC conference. What advice would you give to someone to build connections at the event?
That's a great question. And my advice is just don't be afraid to network and talk to somebody. Sit at a different table or find somebody and you two just connect with other people and then bring that person on. And then now you have a circle of new connections, of new networkers, of new friends. So just don't be afraid to speak up and talk to somebody. Just even, you never know where a good morning or a good afternoon or a simple smile or a hello will go.
Lady Martinez. Oh, go ahead. Go
I
ahead.
was just going to make use of the conference app too.
Yes.
I've been in my first HealthCon in Nashville, and I was really impressed with how many people would put themselves out there in the chat box. I'm looking to meet people who do this. Come sit with me at breakfast, and that really helps because not everybody has the personality where they could just walk up to a table full of strangers and sit down, but it kind of prearrange some of those connections on that and the chat conference app that can help.
And I do like Kimberly's comment where she says, make a goal as to at least meet 3 people, 3 new people at minimum.
One thing I love about conferences is I think you guys do the same. We build these relationships in the virtual world. I'm looking at Gabby and Lady and Lori, just so many people watching now who we've built these foundations of friendship online, and then you see each other in person, and it is just electric and so fun to see you in person and build on those friendships. And it makes it different when we go back to the virtual world. You have these stronger connections that can rely on each other in different ways. Kathy, you're a vet of APC conferences. What advice do you have? And can you think of a relationship that you took away from conference that you're like, wow, this helped me as a human, but maybe even professionally?
Basically, I think it was one of my earlier conferences. Bevan said, even if you came here with other people, make sure not to stay with those people. eat at different tables, you know, during sessions, sit next to different people and just start talking. And basically for me, I always usually went by myself. And so I would sit with, you know, random people all the time.
Mhm.
The biggest thing for me too, even as a seasoned person, is learning that the struggles that I'm having in my professional or, you know, with my work, that everybody else has the same issues, they're dealing with the same things, and it's good to talk about it because
Mhm.
somebody else might have a solution or a workaround that they've dealt with that you could bring back.
Great
Great
advice.
comment.
Love that.
Yeah.
Guys, we're at the top of the hour. And what a great discussion. I'm so glad that we have such a experienced panel with us today. Thank you so much, you guys, for joining us. Thank you to our viewers. If you are headed out to DC, say hi. So it looks like Susan, Brenda, Denise, and myself will be out there. And then we'll catch the rest of you guys in Las Vegas, right? Rhonda, Kathy, Nicole, Dara. So yeah, we look forward to seeing you in DC if you'll be out there. Our next broadcast, you guys, will be from the DC conference. So
Oh,
we'll spend a few
exciting.
time. Yeah, so we'll see you out there. And you BOD members, stay with me just for a second. So if you're watching this, you can watch the playback on our YouTube channel or on our Facebook page. It'll live there. And we'll also load it up to the podcast in the coming days. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks from DC. Bye, everybody.
All right. Have a great
Bye.
bye.